Oh, just in. That's unfortunate. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about items. Oh. Alright. So let's go ahead and start. So, welcome. This is DM's Art, DM's Around a Round Table, and we're still rectangular, and we're down a few numbers today as well. It's just going to be me and Paul. And we're going to go in depth about Goldenfields and just do a little bit of introductions, talking about our favorite player character deaths that we have dealt with as a DM. So I'm going to lead off. So Alberto Coronado, for those of you that have been joining us for the few episodes of DM's Art that we've had so far, and my favorite character death was actually a character that died by Medicine Kit, who had already failed 2 of his saves, and he was crit failed on by the person that went up to try to save him. And he died right there. It was the first death for a character that would later be Plimp, and he had to give up magic items for a vampire encounter. He was a character that played, or a player, that gave us a lot of interesting opportunities. Well, not to just kill him, but actually roleplay. I think that first encounter that really, his death was so momentous that it wasn't just him getting smashed by a monster and bleeding to death on the floor, but it was his own character and party mate that was his downfall, his demise. It was really interesting to see. What about yours?
I've never killed... Oh, sorry. My name's Paul. We'll start with that as the typical thing. Yeah, my name's Paul. I've never killed a player at my table. I've only been DMing for a month or 2 now. January 31st was my first day, so just over 3 months. 3 months and a week.
Time does fly, doesn't it?
It does. It's gone pretty quick. But I've never killed a player, and there's kind of 2 reasons for it. Because one... Now that my party's just gotten into tier 2 stuff, which is like levels 5 to 10, and if I kill a player, it's like, hey, see ya.
You're gone. You're booted. Yeah, because we have like 5 tables that we run on Tuesday nights, so they'd be booted down to one of our tier 1 tables, probably level 1s and level 2s.
Yeah, and then if you have a TPK, a total party kill, then it's like, that's miserable because I hate like almost all of the level 1 modules. I don't like them, and so I don't
really have to take a little build up for them. You got to take a little shot to the gut for those hour-long modules.
But probably my favorite player death that I was involved in was Albert was DMing. I'm surprised he didn't mention this one. We were on Zephyros' Cloud Castle, and
I love that giant.
We had one of the random encounters on the Cloud Giant Castle is a silver dragon that comes with like 5 dwarves or something like that. And we just coincidentally happened to have a silver dragonborn that upon seeing the silver dragon flying in the sky goes, "Hail, brother!"
What's up, brethren? Right in Zephyros' line of sight.
And so then he tries to like communicate with the dragon, and the dragon's like, "Hey, I'm here to destroy this castle."
The navigation orb.
The navigation orb, which controls the castle. And what's his name? What was his name?
I forget what the name of the dragon is, but he's dropping in a bunch of the Lord's Alliance dwarves to run in and try and take care of the orb. Zephyros gets into the battle, and he had already rolled bad on his charisma check of the day, and he was quite angry. The party already trying to sneak around his castle and steal some stuff, and their persuasion checks weren't that good.
And so this silver dragonborn meets the silver dragon, and he's like, "I'll help you destroy this castle." And Zephyros hears this, obviously, because this is his like lair. And we enter combat, and it was miserable because we're a bunch of level like 3s, I think,
yep,
and we're
just getting into it.
There's a fight between an adult silver dragon in the doorway and Zephyros on the other side of the doorway, and we're like trying to get out, and it's all these like AoE attacks. So like
there were like 2 rounds before they got down to the chamber of death. The dragon flew around for a bit. I let y'all decide whether to go outside or inside, but I made it very clear. Y'all had about 12 seconds to decide whether you want to be in with the giant or out with the dragon. And actually, here's that Tower of Zephyros encounter right here in my notes. We actually had that one back on December 6th, back in 2016. Oh my god, we got to take out Tiny, Vimok, Plimp, Gavix, and Mahern.
Yep.
Which I believe was yours, Paul.
That was me.
Oh, so much fun. That was a good
sad
encounter.
day.
I loved it. That was great. But moving back to our topic of the day, we're going to talk about Goldenfields in the Storm King's Thunder season still, and getting into the hardcover a little bit away from the modules. We've been doing the 1 hour, 2 hour modules and discussing those. 2 and 4. Which one's the 4 hour? Because Chellenber's Descent and
they might have all been 2 hours.
I think they're all 2 hours for this. Yeah. No, they're all 1 hour. The intro adventures.
We didn't do intro.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We did intro adventures. Come on, Paul.
It's been a long time.
It really has. Time flies. But we're going to start with Goldenfields. So the way that we both ran this was a little different, but we actually had some similarities that just crossed over that weren't explicitly mentioned in the book. We introduced the characters to the NPCs, to there are a bunch of secret and side missions that are available to really send your characters off into the realm of Farrun. Really along the Sword Coast, deeper up into the north, where you can go to Bryn Shander, Mirabar, go along the high road, introduce yourself to Harsnag to try and get deeper into the actual content within the Storm King's Thunder book. Well, when you get to Goldenfields, we impressed upon the gravity of how important it was as a food supply to the entire Sword Coast and Farrun. There's lush gardens, exotic flowers, fruits, really everything that the indigenous people would need and the higher class, the nobles, would pay a high dollar for, kept within these massive walled, this complex. It's numbered out all along here in the book really well, but it is a massive area that is a little hard to express to your characters if they've only been working in small combat arenas. So I think that's one of the most important things, is really introducing them to the size and the scale of Goldenfields as a big city and a fortress within this lush green area. Paul, how'd you introduce them to the NPCs?
As with most parties, the first place they go is the tavern. And once they get there, they typically don't leave until the morning. So I had the different NPCs. So Goldenfields is one of the locations where there's a giant encounter, and you have special NPCs that the players take control of, and they each have their own stats in the book. And I had these different people come by the inn so that the party could meet them, which is kind of weird because one of them is like a tree.
Yeah, the big tree. I don't know how much he moves.
He's a tree that plays with kids. And so it was kind of weird that he went to the inn with a bunch of kids. But my reasoning was that all the parents wanted to go get drunk, and so they could like just pick up their
tree.
Yeah, it was the babysitter tree.
And just see the little tiny tree lights just around there playing with the little toddlers. Yeah.
That was my reasoning for having them go to the tavern, was so that the parents didn't have to like walk far away to go retrieve their kids at the end of the night.
Well, that's a nice little way to tie that in. Luckily enough for me, my characters were just leaving, I believe, the marsh of the Chellenberg. They had just gotten out of the tower with that whole encounter, and they were moving towards Goldenfield. I believe it was the party of Woodhouse, Gallic, Raywin, and Melike, and they ran into Melike and Ferd. So a bunch of different, barbarians, rangers, bards, a good little mesh-up of party members that were on the road to Goldenfield and ended up making their way through. Now, what I realized is that Paul actually ran the same sort of customs entry into Goldenfields that I did. When you go into Goldenfields, we really wanted to impress how important it was to them to maintain the integrity of their crops. So we had, or at least for my table, I took everyone's character sheets and looked for any agricultural goods that they had on there. Perfumes, ales, food of any kind, and made sure that it was either verified or stamped to be from a specific town like Mulmaster, or not Mulmaster, I need to pull up my map right now. Belliard, I think Red Larch, Neverwinter, and Waterdeep were the main ones that I told them about, and then required history checks for anything beyond that, or if they had anything previously labeled. I think a couple of characters had things taken. We had ale taken from Gallic. There was some bath oil taken from Ferd the half-orc barbarian. They also had a big old case of ale that they gave to the guards beyond that to try and have some good favor. They were a little upset that they were getting searched, but they didn't want the guards to really see them as malicious. They wanted to gain a little favor with them, so they thought that would do them some good. Beyond that, they walked in, they went to the Mother's Bounty, I believe it was, the Earth Mother's Bounty, which is kind of the little general store, seed store that as soon as you walk in is the place they sell to all the tourists. Really, they want to get people in and out as quickly as possible to try and keep infection or people from going in too far, unless they really have business within the fields. They give out, packets of seeds and a couple different items within the store that are a little different, harder to find within the realm.
Yeah, but nothing that my party didn't even go there, so.
Sad day. I was actually...
Like I said, my party went to the tavern and stayed there.
See? Opportunities to roleplay just killed by people that always want to get drunk. We were able to get... I gave seeds of Nightstone that went back... After they went back and tried to look for some brewery seeds, they tried to look for some hops and some wheat, because Raywin really likes to brew things. Her and Gallic just love doing things with cases of beer as Gallic throws them on his shoulder and, gets into way too much combat. Let's see. Still was singing a song and trying to persuade the guards as they were getting drunk and have a good time. As he joined in the revelry and rolled a crit fail for his performance check and ended up throwing up all over Raywin, Milike, and Galik. So that is the point that my characters decided to go to the inn after the poor performance by the bard and get cleaned up, and they really got themselves set up with some cupcakes, some wine, mini cupcakes, because they were delicacies in Goldenfields. They really take care of what they bake there. And that's when Galik decided to talk to Naxine Dwarth Kala, which is one of the NPCs for this adventure that they really start pairing up, and that's where I introduced where they were going to be running this person or introducing them into the realm as an NPC. Usually the DMs are the only ones that control these. I really liked how Goldenfields and Storm King's Thunder allowed us the opportunity to give our players NPCs to use along in battle and really jump between their character and the other ones, and it really makes them think about what these people do given their different bonds, alignments, and flaws. I really like that, throwing a character into the mix.
I like that the characters control them, because it, as a character that does it, like I did it. When I played, we went to Bryn Shander, and the same thing happens up there, but it's complicated enough to be like, oh shit, it's my turn, I'm gonna do what I do, and then like 3 turns later, you're like, oh shit, I didn't move my NPC, and he's right next to the giant
The entire time.
So, so it's like, can I retcon this? Like, and typically a nice DM will say yes, but
9 Tales of the Yawning Portal. Just a little talk about the new season, Tales of the Yawning Portal. Hardcore dungeons, no mercy, kill them all. Storm King's Thunder, little generosity. Portal, kill them in those dungeons. Tomb of Horrors, I want them to die. But back to that.
But then as a player, you're like, okay, he wants to use his short bow, and you like roll your d20. It's like a 15 plus 3. And then you're like, what's the damage? 1d6 plus 1? Oh no.
Yeah.
And so it's just like it takes a long time for the player to do it, and so I feel like as a DM, if I had to control 5 of them,
they would really draw away, and I think it really helps drawing them in and teaching them more about characters and how to build more. I think a lot of new players don't really know how to build an initial one. It's why we have pre-generated ones from the Adventurers League. I think why pre-generated ones like these for NPCs really help teach you how to use the different classes and the races and how people really use that character development within a storyline. After that, I went straight into the attack. I initiated, I believe, at night whenever they were creeping through the fields, and they faced off against 10 goblins, 4 bugbears, and 3 ogres. Ogres. Okay, it was the ogres, yeah. Woodhouse ends up throwing his Morningstar at Gavix for max damage in that one. I forgot about it. Crit fails, I love them. And the Adventurers League technically doesn't have it legal for crit fails, but I like to throw out a little bit of flair for it, and I roll a d4 to determine how severe the crit fail is. If it's a 1, it's nothing too bad. It's, they drop their bow onto the ground, they have to use a free action to pick it up. 4 going all the way up to them shooting their own character in the shoulder repeatedly, because characters have about 7 shoulders, and over I'm playing with Paul for some reason. So, we had really intense encounter. It lasted all of 6 rounds. Again, really important to take notes of how you're pulling back and figuring out how combat can run more efficiently, or how you can impress upon your characters the gravity of a situation, because they really didn't feel that they were too overwhelmed because they were getting into the higher levels. At 4 and 5, they were just starting to get their new skills, about to transfer over. A couple had just gotten their multi-attacks and things like that. They were feeling a little big for themselves, and that's why I really got to throw some hardcore hill giants at them at the later part of this adventure. How'd they go in combat for you, Paul?
Combat was pretty simple. My group, I don't know if I'm just like not a hard DM compared to Albert, but like I feel like a lot of the shit that Albert's party is really hard time with, my party like breezes through. My party, they stayed at the inn, and they found out that Goldenfields was being invaded because one of the special NPCs, Oren Yogolvi, he's like the drunk bard of the town essentially. He is wandering home, or he's wandering around town drunk, and he sees one of these groups of bugbears, goblins, and ogres.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Oh, no, nothing. Yeah.
Swagging. He sees one of these groups, and he like calls out. He's like, "Help! Help! We're being invaded!" And the characters wake up from their slumber or arouse from their drunkenness to defend this town. And that's how I started the combat. From there, they fought this one group, which is it consists of 6 bugbears, 10 goblins, and 2 ogres. And there's 3 of these groups venturing around town. So they encounter one immediately. As they're about to kill the first group, I had a second group emerge from the cornfields nearby. And as they were defeating the second group, I had the abbot ring the town bell. And in the book it says that once the alarm bell starts ringing, the ogres, goblins, and bugbears are smart enough to know that they can't survive inside the walls with the whole city guard on alert. So they start running away, but at the same time, Lob and Og, who are the 2 hill giants in charge of this attack, they jump over the wall into town. And so my group had a choice to whether attack the retreating forces or the incoming forces, and my group chose the incoming forces of Lob and Og. Lob and Og, as they start clearly losing, they start begging and groveling for their lives, saying that they'll, saying whatever will save them. And my group actually ended up killing them, and I think it was on accident, because everyone else was like, okay, I hold my action to see if, they attack or whatever. And they didn't attack, but at the end of their turn, one of the characters had cast a spell called Flaming Sphere, which does 2d6 damage if you fail a dex save, and hill giants have no dexterity.
No dex.
And so it does 2d6 if you fail your dex save at the end of their turn. And so at the end of their turn, they were groveling, and people were like, okay, cool, I guess these guys are good. And then they failed their dex saves, and they got 10 damage, and it killed both of them. And so the party's like, okay, cool.
Hill giants, not so dexterity.
and they killed both the hill giants. So the hill giants don't end up doing anything besides leading you through.
They really don't. They just led the party because they were dumb and they were the biggest of them all.
Yep. And then by the time that my party had finished killing Lob and Og, my party had 2 guards helping them fight Lob and Og. And so when they killed them, we were actually running out of time. This place, Clockwork is about to close, and they looked over the city wall, and they saw that the rest of the city guard had sort of, what's it called? Not incapacitated, but overwhelmed the forces outside the wall. And my reasoning for that was that because this is the breadbasket of the North, like we explained earlier, it provides food for the entire Sword Coast, there's going to be a lot of guards stationed here. And so with only 2 being inside the wall helping, fight Lob and Og, the rest had to have been somewhere else. And they were dealing with the bigger threat outside the wall with the forces amassed outside.
Yeah. Great way to run it. And that's pretty much big encounter after last for my party, and they ended up fighting everyone all at once, defeating the hill giants, having a great time, and getting all too much XP. I think they ended up with 1,300 each after this, and that was with a party of what, 7? 2, 4, 6? 6. Okay. So I think that's going to wrap it up, at least for this part of Goldenfields. Is there anything in particular you would like to talk about, Paul, as we're kind of getting from the Storm King's Thunder season into Tales of the Yawning Portal?
It's not about anything in particular. I just want everyone to know that I am busy drawing maps, and I have never done this before.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Massive deal. Been bothering about this for months.
But I feel like I've taken on more than I can chew, because I have this little piece of paper, which is 1 foot by 1.5 feet, so 12 by 18 inches, so I have 12 by 18 squares, and this one room that I'm drawing right now is 220 by 440 feet. And so,
gotta love the giants.
And so originally, in the book, it's each square is 20 feet, but that doesn't fit, because 440 feet is 22 squares, and I don't have that. So now each square is 30 feet, and the room is now 210 by 450.
So make sure to bring your calculator, maybe your protractor when you're doing a little bit. The shapes get a little odd. We were trying to figure out how to draw hexagons earlier.
So yeah, if you saw me doing a lot of counting and thinking, that's the reason why.
It's all that preparation that makes it a little easier to lay things out whenever you actually get on the table with your characters. I love drawing maps. I've been trying to draw a couple of them for Tales of the Yawning Portal as we get into it, just to keep a personal track of it and record as my characters go through these massive complexes. Notes, draw things out, and just make sure to have a fun time with your characters. I'm Alberto Coronado, and it's been fun talking with y'all.
I am Paul Kelsch, and I am excited to maybe kill my party tonight.
Kill him. Kill him. Get that
Because-
first character dead.
Yeah, they have to fight a Rimmerhaz tonight. And they're like, my party's 2 level 7s, 3 level 6s, and 2 level 5s. And a Rimmerhaz is challenge rating 11. So it should be interesting.
It'll be a nice little battle. Let's see how it balances out.
And there's one, maybe 2 battles that they have before it. That shouldn't be difficult.
But train them a little bit.
But it trains them a little bit.
Nice.
So
This has been DM's Art, around a round table. We might have to change it to around a rectangular table from now on.
I mean, I guess you'd still keep the same acronym though, which is good.
Works. Hey, might be the new one. Signing off, guys. See you next week.
Bye. Alright, time to finish fucking drawing this shit. Alright. Then we have a slab.